My boyfriend vanished for 2 years, blocked me, moved cities, no explanation. I moved on. Then his wedding invitation arrived, addressed to me from his new girlfriend. I RSVP'd yes and brought his $12,000 worth of belongings he'd left at my place. When I handed them to the bride during the reception, I, 29 female, am currently staring at a piece of cream-colored cardstock that cost probably $5 a unit, and I'm trying to decide if I'm hallucinating. 2 years ago, I came home from a weekend work trip to an apartment that felt wrong. You know that silence? The kind that's heavy. My keys jangled too loudly in the bowl. I walked into the living room and the TV was there. The couch was there. But the vibe was dead. I walked into the bedroom. His side of the closet was empty. Not just, I'm doing laundry, empty. I took the hangers, empty. My boyfriend of 4 years had vanished. No note, no fight the night before. We had actually discussed adopting a dog that Monday. I called him, straight to voicemail. Texted, not delivered. Checked Instagram, blocked. Facebook, blocked. I called his mom. She didn't pick up. I called his best friend. He picked up, sounded awkward, said, "Look, he just needs space, please don't make this weird," and hung up. That was it. That was the closure. I spent 3 months crying, 3 months raging, and the last year and a half rebuilding my dignity. I got a promotion. I repainted the apartment. I started dating a nice guy who communicates like an adult. But there was one loose thread. When the ex left, he was in a rush. He took his clothes, his toiletries, and his PS5, but he left his studio. The ex was an aspiring music producer. In my spare room, which I paid 70% of the rent for, he had amassed a collection of vintage synthesizers, rack-mount effects units, and 2 very rare, very heavy reel-to-reel tape machines. I'm not an audio nerd, but I know this stuff is worth money. I looked up the models on Reverb. Conservatively, $12,000. For 2 years, I debated what to do. I couldn't sell it. Legally, that's theft in my state if I don't follow a strict abandoned property protocol, which is a nightmare of paperwork. I couldn't throw it out. I tried to contact him through mutuals to come get it. Radio silence. So, I boxed it up. It took up half my storage closet. It was a shrine to his ghosting. Then, yesterday, the mail comes. A heavy envelope, calligraphy. The pleasure of your company is requested at the marriage of the ex and the bride. It was addressed to me. At first I thought it was a joke, or maybe a mistake. But then I saw the personal note on the back of the RSVP card, written in frantic feminine handwriting. I know things ended drifting apart for you guys, but the ex speaks so highly of you as an old friend. I'd love to finally meet the people who knew him back then. XO, the bride. Drifting apart? Old friend? The pieces clicked. He lied to her. He clearly told this new woman, who he must have met immediately after or during our relationship, that we had an amicable split. He probably told her we were just friends by the end. And she, being a secure and welcoming partner, suggested inviting his old friends. He couldn't say no. If he said no, don't invite her, he'd have to explain why. He'd have to admit he ghosted a 4-year partner like a coward. So he gambled. He bet everything that I would see the invite, roll my eyes, throw it in the trash, and never show up. He bet on my pride keeping me away. He bet wrong. I RSVP'd yes via their wedding website immediately. I selected the chicken cordon bleu, and then I looked at the wall of boxes in my spare room. I'm not buying them a toaster. I'm returning his property. The wedding is in 3 weeks. The venue is a 40-minute drive. I have rented a cargo van. Am I being petty? Maybe. But he ghosted me for 2 years and stuck me with a storage bill for his expensive hobby. He wants to play happy families and pretend the past didn't happen? Okay. Let's bring the past to the present. I'm bringing a dolly. Update 1. The wedding was Saturday. My adrenaline is still crashing, so forgive any typos. I prepped like I was going into battle. I rented a white cargo van because my sedan wasn't going to fit 4 massive analog synthesizers and a reel-to-reel player that weighs as much as a golden retriever. I enlisted my best friend for this operation. She's the one who held my hair back when I was vomiting from stress 2 years ago. When I told her the plan, she didn't just agree, she bought a matching dress. We arrived at the venue right as the reception cocktail hour was starting. We skipped the ceremony. I didn't need to see vows I knew were probably recycled from Pinterest. I needed maximum visibility with minimum disruption to the actual solemnity. I'm not a monster. I'm just a debt collector. The venue was one of those rustic chic barns that smell like cedar and expensive perfume. Guests were mingling on the lawn. The ex and the bride were near the gift table, accepting envelopes and posing for photos. Perfect. I pulled the van up to the loading zone, which was conspicuously close to the entrance. My best friend hopped out and opened the back doors. We unfolded the hand truck. I started stacking. First, the Roland synth in its flight case, then the Moog, then the box of patch cables which I had taped shut with bright blue painter's tape because I ran out of packing tape. I wheeled the first load toward the gift table. The ex saw me first. The color didn't just drain from his face, it vanished. He looked like he was witnessing a murder. He was holding a glass of champagne that started shaking so bad I thought the stem would snap. The bride saw me next. She looked confused, then delighted. She's pretty, very young. She bounded over, dragging the paralyzed groom with her. "You must be my name," she beamed. "I'm so glad you came. The ex was worried you might be too busy." I smiled, the kind of smile a shark gives a seal. I wouldn't miss it, and I couldn't come empty-handed. I gestured to the dolly. I finally brought his wedding gift. Well, it's actually a return. The bride looked at the beat-up flight cases. "The ex? What is this?" The ex found his voice. It was a squeak. "We can talk about this later, let's put it in the car." "Oh, I can't stay long," I said, voice loud enough to carry to the nearby group of aunts sipping Pinot Grigio. "And I didn't want to keep storing this for you. It's been 2 years, the ex. I figured since you blocked my number and moved without telling me, this was the only way to get your $12,000 of equipment back to you." The air around us dropped 10 degrees. The drifting apart narrative just hit an iceberg. The bride dropped his hand. "Blocked you? You said you guys were still emailing." "We haven't spoken since the day he moved out while I was at work," I corrected cheerfully. "Here's the reel-to-reel. Be careful, the left spoil is finicky, but you know that." I motioned to my best friend, and we unloaded the second stack. It was a mountain of gear right next to the delicate pile of cards and crate and barrel boxes. It looked absurd, industrial, dusty, and aggressive. The ex hissed at me, leaning in. "You are insane. Get this trash out of here." "It's not trash," I said, keeping my volume conversational. "It's your Profit 5. You told me it was your legacy. I've kept it safe in my closet for 730 days. You're welcome." I turned to the bride. She was looking at him, and the look wasn't love. It was calculation. She was processing the lie. "I hope you two are very happy," I said. "He hates it when you touch the knobs without washing your hands first, by the way. Just a heads up." I turned around, grabbed the empty dolly, and walked back to the van. My best friend was waiting in the driver's seat, cackling. We drove to a diner 5 miles away and ordered pancakes. My phone started blowing up about 20 minutes later. Not from him. From an unknown number. It was a text. "This is the bride's maid of honor. That was the most punk rock thing I have ever seen. Also, he's crying in the bridal suite and the bride is drinking straight vodka. Just thought you should know. I slept like a baby last night, but this morning the reality is setting in. I didn't just return stuff, I nuked a perception, and entitled people do not like having their reality challenged. I just got an email. Not a text, an email. It's from the ex. Subject, you will pay for this. The body of the email outlines that I have ruined the most important day of his life, and that he will be seeking damages for emotional distress and transportation costs. He wants me to pay to ship the stuff I just drove to him. I'm waiting for the next move. I have a feeling the nice guy mask is about to slip off entirely, and his new wife is going to get a front row seat. Update 2. It has been 5 days since the wedding crash, and the audacity has reached levels I didn't think were scientifically possible. So the email I mentioned in the last update, that was just the appetizer. The main course arrived yesterday via certified mail. The ex didn't get a lawyer. He's too cheap for that. He drafted a letter of demand himself. I know this because he used a free legal template online and forgot to remove the insert date here footer on the second page. Here is what he is demanding. $2,500 for venue violation fees. Apparently, the venue charged them for unauthorized vendor loading because I pulled a commercial van up to the front. Not my problem. $500 for storage and handling. He claims he had to hire a TaskRabbit to move the gear from the reception hall to his parents' SUV because it wouldn't fit in the limo. Again, hilarious. A public apology on my social media stating that I am mentally unstable and that our breakup was mutual, to restore his reputation among his in-laws. I read this letter while drinking my morning coffee and laughed so hard I nearly choked. But then, my phone rang. It was the bride. I debated answering. I really did. I'm not in the business of wrecking homes, even if the foundation is made of lies. But I figured if she was calling me, the wrecking ball had already swung. Hello? Did you know? She asked. No hello, no preamble. Her voice sounded brittle. Did I know what? That he was living with you for 4 years? He told me you dated for 6 months and it was a casual fling. We lived together for 3 years, I said gently. We were on a lease. We had a joint Costco card. We were discussing adopting a dog. Silence on the line. Then a heavy sigh. He told me the gear was in a storage unit he lost the key to. He said you were obsessed with him and wouldn't let him get it. I have emails from 2 years ago begging him to pick it up, I said. I can forward them to you. Please do. I forwarded her the screenshots, the timestamps, the desperate, please just come get your stuff, I need the closet space messages from me, the silence from him. He's threatening to sue you, she said, her voice sounding detached. He's screaming about it in the kitchen right now. He says you scratched the wood paneling on the Moog. It was scratched when he bought it off Craigslist in 2019, I countered. Look, the bride. I don't want to be involved in your marriage. I just wanted my house back. He invited me. He opened the door. Yeah, she said. He did. She hung up. I thought that was it. But the ex wasn't done. Last night I got a Venmo request from him. Request $3,000. Damages to vintage equipment and emotional terrorism. I declined the request. Then he texted. Finally unblocked me to spew venom. The ex, you are a bitter, jealous psycho. You couldn't handle that I moved on and leveled up. You brought that trash there to humiliate me. You scratched the profit. My dad is a lawyer. Hope you're ready to lose everything. Me. 1. Your dad is a dentist. 2. I have photos of the equipment condition dated the day before the wedding. 3. You invited me. 4. If you contact me again, I'm filing a harassment order. 5. Enjoy the Moog. He sent a string of emojis that I won't describe, but they involved a middle finger and a clown face. Then, things got weird. I came home from work today, and there was a note on my door. Not from him, from my landlord. We received a complaint regarding illegal subletting and commercial business activity in your unit. Please contact management immediately. He called my landlord. He reported me for running a business. The storage of his gear. Or maybe he claimed I was a drug dealer? Who knows? I went to the leasing office immediately. I explained the situation to the property manager, who I've known for 5 years. I showed her the wedding invite. I showed her the photo of the van. She laughed. Wait, the guy with the terrible mustache? The one who parked in the handicap spot? That's him. Yeah, ignore it. He called here screaming that you were trafficking stolen goods. I told him you're on the lease, and he isn't. He sounded unhinged. He is trying to burn my life down because I embarrassed him. He doesn't realize that by doing this, he's just proving to everyone, including his new wife, that he is exactly the childish coward I know him to be. I'm currently drafting a cease and desist with a paralegal friend of mine, just a formal back off or else. But I have a feeling the real consequences are happening inside his honeymoon suite. The bride hasn't posted a single photo since the wedding. No just married updates, no honeymoon selfies, radio silence. Update 3, final. It's been a month. The dust has settled, and the silence is beautiful. Let's wrap this up. After the insurance fraud attempt, I sent the cease and desist. It was harsh. It detailed his abandonment of property, the harassment, the false reports to my landlord, and a reminder that filing a false police report, which he threatened to do next, is a crime. I sent a copy to him, and because I was feeling thorough, I sent a copy to the address on the wedding invite, their shared apartment. 2 days later, the Venmo requests stopped. The texts stopped. I thought I would never hear from that side of the world again. I was ready to go back to my normal life, sans vintage synthesizers. But yesterday I was at a coffee shop near my office, a place I've gone to for years. I was waiting for my oat latte when I heard a voice. "Hey." I turned. It was the bride. She looked different, tired, no ring on her finger. My stomach dropped. I didn't want a scene. "Hi. Can I sit?" she asked. She gestured to the empty chair across from me. I nodded. "Sure." She sat down and stared at her hands. "I just wanted to tell you. You were right." "About the scratches on the Moog?" I asked, trying to lighten the mood. She let out a short, dry laugh. "About everything. He didn't just lie about you. He lied about his job. He told me he was a senior producer. He's an unpaid intern at a studio. His parents pay his rent." I winced. "I didn't know that part. When we were together, he was a barista." "Yeah, well, the wedding gifts." She paused, looking pained. "We got a lot of cash. He tried to take it all to buy a new car the Monday after the wedding. Said he earned it by dealing with the stress you caused." "Wow." "I left him," she said simply. "We hadn't filed the marriage certificate yet. My mom is a paralegal. She told me to run. So I did. I annulled the reception, basically. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, that sucks." "It does," she admitted. "But better now than 2 years in, right? Better than coming home to an empty apartment." She looked at me with genuine respect. "Also," she added, digging into her purse, "you forgot this." She slid a small, heavy object across the table. It was a knob, a vintage silver-capped knob from the Prophet 5 synthesizer. It fell off in the van when his dad was loading it. She smiled, a little wickedly. He was tearing the house apart looking for it. Said it devalues the unit by like $500. I told him I hadn't seen it. I looked at the knob. I looked at her. "Keep it," I said. "A souvenir." She laughed, pocketed the knob, and stood up. "Thanks for the RSVP, seriously. You saved me a lot of time." She walked out. As for the ex, I heard from a mutual friend who finally reached out to apologize for cutting me off, that he's back living in his parents' basement. He tried to sell the gear to recoup the wedding costs, but since he doesn't have the original boxes or manuals, which I threw out the day he left because they were cardboard trash, he's getting lowballed. Also, apparently, his reputation in our local music scene is trash because the bride told everyone the truth about the breakup and the internship. I walked home. I opened my spare room door. It's empty. Just clean carpet and sunlight. I bought a Peloton. It fits perfectly in the corner. I'm done looking back. The debt is paid. The clutter is gone. And honestly, the chicken cordon bleu was dry anyway.